Welcome to the Vibrantly You podcast. We're your hosts, Megan Martineau,
Caitlin Cipriano. In this podcast, we talk about fitness and nutrition on your motherhood journey. Whether you're trying to conceive, pregnant, postpartum, or beyond, you're welcome here.
Nothing is off limits, and our goal is to support you in this important season of life so that you can feel vibrantly you. As a reminder, this information is not medical advice. Please see the show notes for more details.
Hi there, and welcome back to the Vibrantly You podcast. I'm Caitlin, your go-to perinatal nutritionist, and today I am going to be recording a solo episode about a topic that so many moms deal with, but don't always talk about, and this one is postpartum constipation. To get very real with you today, this is something that I struggled with in the initial part of my postpartum recovery with my first kiddo. And so I can really relate to this topic. And I know firsthand how uncomfortable it can feel and just how, honestly scary it can be to go to the bathroom after birth. That first postpartum poop, guys, is no joke, but this is super common. And there's a lot of reasons why it happens. But the good news is that there are really simple things that you can prioritize to get things moving again. So I am going to break this all down for you. Again, we're going to chat today about why postpartum constipation happens, what you can do about it, and how you can make your bathroom breaks way less stressful. Okay, first things first, let's chat about why does this happen in the first place. There's a few big reasons, right? Number one being hormonal shifts. We've talked about this in previous podcast episodes, but right after you have birth, this is one of the biggest hormonal shifts that you will ever have happen in your life. Again, they happen in each subsequent pregnancy, but particularly if this is your first baby that you are delivering, this is one of the biggest shifts that we are having happen. So hormones are a little bit all over the place, and that can slow your digestion down. Progesterone, which was really high during pregnancy, has this relaxing effect on the gut. And so these shifts postpartum can change what is happening to your digestive system. Another really common one can be dehydration, not getting adequate fluids and really replenishing them, particularly if you are breastfeeding and your body is using up a lot of water, your stool can kind of get drier and more difficult to pass. Other things that can impact your digestive system during this time particularly can be any pain meds, iron supplements can make it worse. And though that was one of the things that actually happened for me, I had postpartum hemorrhaging, which I covered during my birth story episode. And I did have to have IV iron. And so I was kind of already constipated before I gave birth. And I think that was certainly a contributing factor. Another thing that can play a role here is weakened pelvic floor and core muscles. I know Megan would speak to this if she was here chatting with me today, but pregnancy and birth can put a lot of pressure on your pelvic floor and core. And so if those muscles aren't as strong, which can obviously happen, it can just make it harder to bear down effectively as you're using the bathroom. The other thing that I think is so totally understandable is just that fear of pain. You've obviously, whether you've had a C-section or you've delivered vaginally, you've just endured a lot of pain. And so having to deal with something that could potentially be painful again can just make you subconsciously feel really nervous. Again, other things along with that, fear factor, did you have stitches? Were you dealing with hemorrhoids? Any kind of perineal discomfort? All totally understandable as you're like navigating this, right? But let's talk about now. Okay, those are some of the things that can cause constipation, but what can we do if this does crop up and happen to you? How can we help you get things moving along? So, number one, and we've talked about, I think, constipation during pregnancy. And so we want to think about our three F's here again. So, first one being fluids, like hydration, hydration, hydration. Let's really aim for at least half your body weight in ounces of water each day. If you are breastfeeding, you're going to likely need more. You may need to be up in the, 100-ounce fluid range. Again, this is very dependent, but general recommendation, at least half your weight in body weight in ounces, plus a little more if you're breastfeeding. Warm liquids can be really, really helpful here when we're dealing with constipation, whether you're doing teas or adding some like lemon and honey to water in the morning. That like warm fluids can be really supportive of not only constipation, but just healing postpartum in general as well. Our second F is fiber. We've talked about this too. There are both soluble and insoluble, and both have their own unique properties that help us. Our soluble fiber is going to help keep our stool soft and make it easier to pass. So we want to think about things like oats and flax and chia seeds here. And then we also want the insoluble fiber because this is what helps like give you that bulk, move things along. And the insoluble is going to be found in like our leafy greens and nuts, whole grains. So we want to have both. We want to have a good variety of our sources when it comes to fiber. And if you're someone that's not used to eating a lot of fiber, increase it slowly. Don't just like go all in and go from eating very little to a lot all at once. This can cause issues for you too and cause like more bloating and discomfort. So make sure that as you are increasing fiber, you're having adequate fluids. And then that third F that we talk about are our healthy fats. So the fats help lubricate the digestive tract. So think about things like avocado, nuts and seeds, salmon, olive oil. Those are all going to be great options for you. And these like fiber and healthy fats also play along with our principle of helping support our blood sugar balance postpartum as well. So these are going to be helpful for not just constipation, but your energy levels and mood and things like that as well. Another one that can be helpful when we're talking about constipation is movement. So making sure that you get some really gentle walking, maybe just like some 360 breathing, really gentle. Again, if you are like immediately postpartum, those are generally some easy things that you can still do. Just re-engaging your core with that 360 breathing. And as you feel up to it, super easy walking. If you're not at that stage yet, and again, depending on what kind of birth you have, you can look at including what is called an I love you massage. And maybe you've heard about this to help if your baby is constipated, but this is something that my pelvic floor physical therapist recommended. And you can do this gentle abdominal massage that helps to stimulate your intestines. So in order to do this, put your little visuals on here, but you're going to use 2 fingers. You're going to start on your lower right side of your belly and then move up towards your ribs and then across. And then you go down the left side in an I shape and then do like an upside down L and finish with a full U. It honestly feels really good and it's very effective. So this can be helpful for both you and for baby. The last thing that we talked about this during our episode on constipation during pregnancy, but if you do not have a squatty potty or a footstool, you need to get one. This is so helpful and it really helps your body be in a more ideal position while you are going to the bathroom. The last thing that could be helpful from a supplement perspective would be to look at something like magnesium citrate. Definitely chat with your doctor, make sure this feels appropriate for you, but it can help to draw water into your intestines and help make the stool softer and more easier to pass. So if this seems like something that would be beneficial, check with your provider and make sure that that feels aligned with you personally and what you have going on. Now, if you have tried all the things that we have listed here or anything else additional that maybe your provider is recommended, like if this is going on for over a week, check back in with them. Sometimes there is an underlying issue and you just need to get a little bit of extra support. Okay. So always make sure that if this feels like significant, it's taking longer than you would anticipate, check back in with them. All right. And this wraps it up, good friends. I hope that this episode gave you some practical, doable steps to get things moving. Quite literally. Postpartum is really a wild ride, and constipation is just one of those things that I feel like no one warns you about. No one warned me about this, but you do not have to suffer through it. These are some tangible tips that you can utilize. I hope you found this helpful. And if you love this, please share with another new mom who might be struggling with the same thing. And if you have any questions or want me to cover something more specific in a future solo episode, send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. We can connect over at Wholesome Huntress Nutrition on Instagram. Thanks for being here, Mama, and I hope I'll see you next time on the Vibrantly You podcast.